Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pyramid Science Foundation's live stream. I'm Lisa Richards, and Charmin Charlie's with us again.
Hello, Lisa. Good to be here. You have done an excellent job of making our intro so attractive.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It sucks though because we can't post it on YouTube. Pretty much any good music that you find that you want to use for your intro or outro, there's copyrights with associated on YouTube. You can play it on Rumble, but not on YouTube. And I looked into how much it was for the license, $499. So I'm like, we'll just delete it. They don't have to listen to the
Yeah.
music. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys want to catch our little catchy tunes, I would recommend going to Rumble. And, Rumble's better, I think, than YouTube anyway, because YouTube censors so much. So, but I have another awesome, exciting announcement for the day because I finally did it. I finally took some time and reorganized my website the way I wanted it and rebranded it. So I'm no longer going to be Pyramid Surge. I'm going to be Alter Ether. And that was my intention, has been for over a year. I just haven't had time to do it. And I sat down and forced myself to do it. So everybody check out the website. If you look for Pyramid Surge, you'll automatically go to Alter Ether now. And it's all about transforming energy to heal the world. So it's dedicated to like revolutionizing the way we interact with and transform all the different energies around us. And really, my mission is to empower individuals with the different tools like the pyramids and the knowledge that fosters personal and transformational or global transformation. But it's a movement. It's not just a website. Yeah, it's all about really just awakening humanity and awakening each and every one of us to our true potential. And it's time to power up. I've been saying that for a long time, and the time really is now. And that's why Charlie and I are kind of making this movement too into all these different energy healers coming on, because there's so many different modalities out there. We're tired of the barbaric ways. Cut, burn, and poison aren't the only ways anymore. It's all about energy and transformation. And our awesome guests today are here to prove that to you today as well. So, but yeah, check out my website. I have some different services I'm offering and stuff too, guys. So like the intuition development classes are going to be starting next Thursday. You can't sign up until tomorrow though. It's only 1 week ahead of time that you can sign up. But I'm doing spirit readings now for people. I'm offering a healing service, Alter Ether alignments. And then I'm even traveling to different locations with about 10 Stargate pyramids and doing group meditations. So check it out. I'm so excited. I worked so hard on it and I love the website. It's just beautiful. You didn't even look at it yet, Charlie, did you? I just announced
I
it to
didn't
you.
know you had done this. No, so I can't wait to go on and check it out.
Well,
Uh,
actually, I did email you a couple of times, but it keeps bouncing back for some reason. So
well,
they don't
yeah,
want me to tell you.
yeah. Well, how about that? Well,
Did
great.
you have any announcements?
The only announcements I have is that I've been spending the last week. In fact, ever since we met our guests in Allentown, I've been doing research again. So I'm working hard on a documentary, which will become a book on fluid dynamics. And I didn't realize how many missiles and rockets. That's this week's thing to go through to demonstrate. That this geometry shows up in fluid dynamics. So anyway, I'm working hard at it, and if there are any engineers out there who'd love to lend a hand, I'd love to have some help because a lot of this work is not that challenging, at least the doing the pictures and so forth. But getting someone who understands fluid dynamics involved in this is really a mission for me because that's why I'm doing this. The world is spending an awful lot of time and money designing objects when a simple understanding of the golden ratio in would reduce the costs and the time taken to develop new products tremendously. So anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this is exciting. So we have some more excitement for today, guys. You're going to love our guests. We actually met these two gentlemen in Allentown at the Spiritual Holistic Expo when Charlie and I went there last month, and it was just so amazing. The synchronicities that joined us together. I mean, we'll go over those in a little bit, but it was just It was amazing. So today you're going to join us for an enlightening episode featuring Dom Campbell and Jay Vince-Cruz. They're the owners of Quantum Life Wellness Center. We're going to discover how EESystem and Theraphi technologies are transforming wellness through energy, and how BIOWELL biofield scans provide the solid evidence of this. I mean, it's the proof. And since opening Quantum Life Wellness Center in 2022, Dom and Jay have conducted over 1,000 scans, witnessing remarkable healing benefits. So let's welcome Dom Campbell and Jay Vince-Cruz to the Pyramid Science Foundation's live stream. Welcome, guys. We're honored to have you.
Honored to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really can't wait. I can't wait to hear what you guys had to say. I just have to double up with what Lisa said. It was like synchronicity when these guys showed up at the booth. We had met another couple of guys from New Jersey the day before who were entrepreneurs in building, healing technologies, and these guys showed up on Sunday, and it blew me away because they were doing everything that we were excited to be doing and looking to do. So can't wait to hear what they have to say. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome. And there's somebody else here from Allentown too, guys. If you look behind Dom, there's a pyramid. That pyramid was actually in Allentown, yes, and has now found its new home. So they're going to go over that too. But tell us a little bit about your business, guys, and how you got involved in it.
Well, Jay, do you want to? I guess I'll start, and Jay, you can pick up. So, for the center started back in 2022. We actually saw a video of Jason Shirka interviewing Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, the inventor of the EESystem. And that was when we were inspired to go have our own experience in the system. So we went to a local center and had an experience, and that led us to then being inspired to maybe open one of our own. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, there's a whole story around that, and I'll spare all the details around that, but suffice to say, that the path to this is never what we expect it to be, right? The divine has its own idea of how we need to experience things, and it didn't go exactly quite to plan, but the plan that actually rolled out wound up probably being better than the original plan. In the original plan, we wound up not being able to open the center, and we decided to move forward in getting our BIOWELL certifications to do the energy scans in spite of not opening the center. Our plan was to have both, and to open the center first and then get the scanner certifications done. But because we couldn't do the center, it's like, well, let's just move forward with the scans anyhow. Like, let's see where this takes us. And we go and we meet Nima, and we purchase the device from him, and then we get certified from him and go for our expert certification with the inventor of that, Dr. Khodorkovsky. And not long after that, we wound up coming into partnership with someone who needed help with running their center here in New Jersey. They invited us to partner with them, which was that was never part of our real consideration to do originally. And in December of last year, she decided she wanted to go back into retirement, and we acquired the center from her. So,
wow.
Yes. So
it's been an up and down experience, especially when we couldn't open up one for ourselves. There were so many opening, and in our geographic location, they placed a restriction. It was, I think, the first geographic location where they restricted it, literally like just a few days before we were ready to sign a lease, and they said they would not sell us the technology. So our hearts were kind of crushed with that whole experience. Like, all right, we had our hearts and hopes and dreams, and thinking like, all right, everything's lining up, only to find out that they wouldn't sell us the technology. So our path into having a center was not certainly what we imagined it to be, but it just still, I think, works out perfectly as it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we acquired the center actually December 31st this past year and rebranded it to Quantum Light Wellness Center. And
Yeah, because everything's principled around light for us. You know, I
yes,
mean, our body, our DNA stores light, and even with the BioWell, we have a way to measure that light within the body. And the EE system makes use of light, and the therapy modality also light. And so light's the kind of like the common theme, and therefore,
Yeah.
yeah, we decided to name Quantum Light Wellness.
I love it. I love it. Why don't you guys go into what EE Systems is and break it down? We have had somebody on to talk a little bit about Therapy, but we've never had anyone on to talk about EE Systems. And I'm really intrigued as well because I don't know much about it either.
Yeah, it is quite intriguing. A lot of people ask questions about what it is and how it works, and essentially there's like two kinds of things that are operating. There's the biophotonics, the light aspect, and then the part that's scalar, non-Hertzian. It's the scalar wave. And if you're familiar with essential oils, for some oils you need like a carrier oil. And so the scalar wave acts as a carrier wave for the light. And so the best way to experience the EE system is in the room itself, because the light doesn't pass through the drywall. The scalar wave does and extends for a couple of miles. And so even in the office, we have the influence of, the scalar wave, but in the main room, where you're, where you could see all the towers, you're having the influence of both the biophotonic and the scalar wave. So it's creating a hyper healthy, energetic environment, a coherent environment for our bodies to sync up to, allowing our bodies to heal itself.
right.
Very nice. I know Charlie and I make a caduceus coil, and it produces scalar waves as well, and it bypasses the subconscious blocks that most of us have in order that prevent us from healing.
Yes. Yes.
What's interesting about the technology is it works in all the realms, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And what's nice about the BioWell is that we can measure and take a look at those realms, all those realms. So it's a great tool to measure, and in combination with people's experience of the EE system.
Yeah. So people basically come into the room, which is behind me. You can see there's actually 4 towers. There's 3 in view here, and each tower has 6 screens on it. We have a 24 unit system, which is the biggest system that EE manufacturers puts out to purchase, and it uses the Fibonacci sequence. You can see the scrolling in the screens references the Fibonacci sequence, and those screens, what you see, that's the biophotonic energy that Jay was talking about. That's confined within the walls of the room, and then the scalar energy is produced by the black boxes behind the screen, behind all the screens. And so, interestingly enough, one of the things that the EE system does, it's a common question. It's like all those screens, like the EMFs, like a big concern, but the EE system, the scalar waves actually block out the EMFs.
Yeah, so the monitors are laser aligned, and essentially there's a fusion that takes place in the middle. It creates a torus, a toroidal field, and the EMFs get canceled. So it's interesting. It's kind of
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
You're transforming energy. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. So oftentimes, like, technology creates like some of these detrimental effects, but in this case, it gets canceled. So it's kind of ingenious how this by aligning the monitors in that way, it allows for that cancellation.
Okay.
I know we talked. I know we talked a little bit about this at the expo. You were explaining to me, Dom, about the difference between a 4 unit and a 24 unit. It's not just as I remember it that it's more powerful. There are more frequencies that are set up in each additional set of units. Is that right?
That's right. So like there are different in a rack system like this, they start off the smallest as a 4 unit, which would be 1 screen on each tower, and it goes up to 24 units. And so when you go from like a 4 unit to an 8 unit, it's not double the power. It's actually 100 times, right? It's exponential. It's not a doubling, right? So when you go from 4 to 24, you can understand how much more significant that is when you understand that it's exponential. It's not doubling. or quadrupling. The math doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
So when you think about that, there are, in a 24 unit system, there are more frequencies that are being generated in the room compared to like a 4 unit system, right? Because we have 6 screens here producing 6 different frequencies. And actually, we have, in the normal color spectrum, there's like 8 primary colors, and the screens represent all of the colors except for 2, white and black.
Okay.
So all of the other colors are present on the screen. With a single panel, with a 4 unit system, which is a single panel on each tower, you don't get that representation in the same way. The screen has to cycle through all the colors one at a time. You're not immersed in it all at once.
Okay.
So because of all of this, it takes a much longer period of time to get the same effect that a 24 unit could potentially provide.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that a person going to
That's
a
interesting.
4 or an 8 won't have like similar benefits, in a similar time frame. Though the general thinking around this is that when you have different screens programmed in different ways, there's some added benefit for having multiple units. So the thing is, once you get beyond 24, like there's a handful of centers that have more than 24, like the body can only take in so much at any given time.
Right.
And so even if you were to go from a 24 to a 36 or a 48, you're kind of duplicating some of the same screens that you already have up, and the body can only take in so much. So the added benefit for going beyond 24, it may not be, you may not, it won't have the same effect. You would think it'd be a lot more, but it's not the case. So 24 is kind of like that flagship kind of size for a number of centers. So most centers that are the larger centers are 24, with just a handful with more than 24.
Got it.
Now, are each of the individual screens set for one specific frequency, or are they all different, like combinations?
So with the screens, there's a program to indicate what colors you see in the middle and the 2 colors that are alternating on the background. In addition, there's programming to indicate whether it's dual or not dual, and then there's a timer sequence based off of number of seconds, and it goes through all the programs. So all our screens are set to make use of all programs, though it's possible to set it to a specific program. But the inventor recommends that you just make use of all programs and have it cycle through all of that. And then we put in a timer for it, in which it will repeat itself based off of that, the number of seconds.
Okay. Walk us through a session. Like if somebody comes in and for their first session, what would how long would it take? What would they experience, normally?
For someone brand new who's never been to EESystem, the sweet spot, the inventor, Dr. Sandra Rose Michael, says the sweet spot for the first time in the system is 2 hours. And the reason why it's 2 hours, although many centers offer an hour, 2 hours is kind of the minimum sweet spot, because we want the body to be able to fall into a deeper state of relaxation. And by the time people drive there and get settled and checked in and seated, like it takes most people at least 30 minutes just to get to a point of the level of relaxation that they begin to gain benefit. Sometimes it's even longer. So the best way to experience the EE system is asleep, because our bodies are naturally falling into a healing state when we're asleep. But when we experience the EE system for 2 hours, getting into a power nap is ideal. But some people, they'll just meditate. Some people will pray. Some people will listen to positive affirmations. Um, whatever modalities or practices you can do in the room while you're sitting in a zero gravity chair, which you'll see here, they recline back, and that's what we encourage our members to do. So they'll come in, they'll get seated, and we'll provide them a blindfold if they so choose to wear it, and they'll just basically relax and fall asleep for 2 hours. Now, before they go into the room, we'll do a before scan. We'll scan their 10 fingertips to see what their energy and chakras look like. They'll go in the room, they'll have their experience in the room, and then they'll come out and we'll scan their fingertips again, and we'll get a picture of what their energy and chakras look like after being in the room. And we also will do that with the Theraphi too. If people go on the Theraphi bed, they'll come into the EE room, jump on the Theraphi, and we'll do the scans in front of and at the end of the session. But the minimum is 2 hours. People can do more than that. We do private overnights as well, where people can rent the room. We have people drive from out of state that will do that because they'll come to the center usually about once a month. And use the center that way because it's a longer drive, so they want to spend more time in the center. We've had a number of cases where a number of people where they've had stage 4 cancer and they have reversed their tumors, where they are now free. They're tumor free, cancer free, wow, which has been absolutely amazing. And the time frame that this has happened in has been, of the members that this has happened in our center with, it has occurred between 4 months and 14 months. Wow. And that ranges from coming weekly to coming monthly overnight, for at least 2 hours in those sessions or longer. It depends on the person and how far they traveled and whatnot, but that's typically the range of what we're finding. The guy that was 14 months actually had 2 types of cancer he was trying to overcome, and he got through both of them. And we have many testimonies on our website, on quantumlightwellness.com. We have many written testimonies, many video testimonies. We've also had a 13-year-old boy. His name is Bo, and he was basically at 7 years old. He has a mitochondrial disease and he stopped growing. So he's a 13-year-old boy in a 7-year-old body. Mm-hmm. And last year he started coming to the center, and after, the only thing they changed was coming to the center once a week, and they did an overnight once a week for 5 months. And at his next doctor's appointment, he wound up growing 4 inches and gaining 10 pounds, which is absolutely unheard of. Wow. And the disease has no cure. So the doctors were blown away. They were asking what they were doing differently. And so
that's good they were asking, because some doctors don't even want to know. Yeah, if they see you healing, they don't want to know what you did naturally.
That's true. But in this case, there's no cure. So it really kind of confluxed their brains a little bit, you know. So he wound up growing. And interestingly enough, they stopped for a period of time coming to the center, and he stopped growing. So now he's back at the center again, and it's going to be interesting to see, you know, at his next doctor's appointment when he goes back, you know, how is he going to start growing again? But so far, the evidence has been clear. We've had so many testimonials on so many different things. People coming off their medications for anxiety and depression and inflammation. Inflammation and pain is a big one for people, obviously. What else, Jay?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the bigger ones that we've had?
Recently, the one with the heart.
Oh,
but you
Helena.
know, yes, but we'll be, you know, looking to hear from her after she gets more information. But yeah, she had phenomenal results with her cardiologist, and originally the cardiologist, you know, had intentions around telling her that, well, he told her, you know, he'd like to crack her chest. And after 5 months, he took that back. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that's a big change, and he was pressing to find out what she was doing. And it was, you know, she originally thought, you know, I'll share about the nutritional changes, cutting back on sugar and things like that. And the cardiologist pressed in asking for more, like, what else are you doing? Because, you know, it wasn't adding up, you know, for him. And he knew there was something more. And when she started sharing that something more, she started sharing about the EESystem and the Therapy. So we've had some amazing results with the combination of the two, with the EESystem and the Therapy together. We use Therapy as an add-on modality. So with chatting with the inventor of that system, you know, he confirmed that the best way to experience Therapy is when the person's in that state of relaxation, and the EESystem does an excellent job of doing just that. And so when they start off in the EESystem, our protocol is then to layer in Therapy later on. and not simply go and experience Theraphi standalone, where you go right onto the massage table and just do Theraphi. Our protocol is to start in the EE system and then end with the Theraphi. In some cases, some members start in the EE system, do Theraphi, and then continue to further integrate that energy by coming back into the EE system.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to also take a look at the pyramid,
Yes.
and as a modality and as yet another tool in which members can
Yeah.
experience that and integrate their energy, whether it's like maybe possibly starting off in the pyramid and then continuing the session outside the pyramid, because staying in a chair for 2 hours might be a little bit long. Where probably most people who experience a pyramid as a form of meditation probably would do 15 to 30 minutes, with sitting in a chair. So we're kind of envisioning people doing 15 to 30 minutes in the chair in the pyramid,
Sure.
and then moving into into the main part of the room, into another space where they can be in our 0G gravity chair,
Yeah.
or on a bed where they can lie down, and then further integrate that energy.
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
I was just I've got two questions. One, do you run the same program for everyone all the time? In other words, on the EE system, are there different programs to run? That's the first question. And then the second one, well, answer that one first, and
Yeah,
I'll.
it's customizable, and it's possible to change the programs. Most people will probably continue with running all programs and not choose a specific program. Where a lot of the centers customize is their color selections and combinations, and in the order in which they show from the top screen to the bottom screen. So a number of centers may not have the same sequence, but the idea here is still to cover the full spectrum of color. So ideally, you want the middle color to vary, and the alternating colors for the background to also vary.
Okay.
And so some centers, it may appear a little bit different. Some might look the same because they're using the same settings. So it's just know it's possible to customize it and to change it, as to like periodically,
Yeah.
or for a specific event or for a specific purpose. And some centers will do that, and they might even change it specifically for an overnight experience, depending on what the member desires. In our case, we kind of leave the programming alone because it can take a little while for the system to build up that energy. So let's say if we were to have a power outage,
Mhm.
and the screens would need to be like rebooted and all that, it could take up to like 24 hours before it kind of comes back to its peak. In which case we just leave it running all the time.
Sure.
So we don't turn it off like at the end of the day. We leave it running 24/7.
Sure.
So it's ideal to leave it up 24/7.
Cool. Then my second question, and it has to do with overnights. If people come in overnight, are they spending an entire 6-8 hours in the system
Longer, up to
and
16
longer?
hours.
And I guess therefore more is better. I mean, in terms of exposure.
It's cumulative.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So so for some people that want to come weekly, they'll do 2 hours like once a week. For an overnight, when you're accumulating like 8, 10, 12, 14 hours,
Wow.
it can make the drive like worth it. So for those who
Sure.
travel
Sure.
further, the overnight makes more sense. Those who live closer, sometimes some members prefer to kind of do 2 hours at a time and kind of space it out and say, oh, I think I need to allow my body to
Yeah.
integrate that and then come back to it more frequently. So every member figures out what's right for them. We don't prescribe anything, so everyone's unique, and we invite people to like trust their intuition on that.
Sure.
So if
Sure.
they want to space it out, space it out. If you want to come once a month, then do that. Do what works and what feels right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
We've had
So,
people, sorry,
go ahead, Dom.
sorry, Lisa. I was just going to say, we've had people come to our center from all over, driving from Massachusetts, from Toronto, from Virginia, from Florida. Someone flew in from India
Oh,
Wow.
to come to
wow.
our center because it's not just the EE system we offer, but we have the Theraphi technology. We're only one of 2, maybe 3 EE system centers that have that technology. And then with the BIOWELL, we're one of just a handful. that offer that technology as well and have the level of expertise that Jay and I have in doing the scans and scanning so
Yeah.
many people. So, when people realize, what separates us from other centers, like these are the things that people are looking for. They're curious. They want to try it. They want to see for themselves. They want to see the evidence, to Charlie's point, right? He was asking, he goes, you guys like to follow the science, right? Before we got on live. And it's like, well, yeah, science is important. There needs to
Absolutely.
be some type of evidence to indicate, where, how this is having an effect on people.
Absolutely. I said that. I say that all the time. People are tired of the lies. There's so many lies in our world unraveling us around us now. You don't know who to trust anymore. Tapping into your intuition is the biggest thing that you can do to maneuver through this world of lies right now. And, reviews, testimonials, from people that have tried these services, those are big to follow as well,
Yeah.
and, the BIOWELL that you guys invested in, we did the same thing for the Pyramid Science Foundation. That's what I'm training on as well. But you guys have been working with the BIOWELL and gaining this evidence, this proof that people need to show them, yes, this is working. So let's delve into that in a second. But I want to touch on the pyramid again real quick before we do, because the pyramid's an amplifier of energy. And, so it would be really interesting, you guys are going to do some research for us as well with the pyramid. So it'd be really interesting to see how a 4-tower system compares with a pyramid compared to one without,
Sure.
because it's amplifying that. So is it making it more comparable to a facility with more towers because it has, it's amplifying the energy? I don't know. That'd be really
Or
interesting.
maybe it's not the energy of the system that's impacted so much, but the energy of the person.
Well, I think that's right. Yeah. I mean,
Well, that too. Yeah.
we have we've typically done tests when we've been dowsing, just using a Bovis life force energy scale, and we'll test the person before, while they're in the pyramid, and then after, sometimes just to see how long it lasts. But oh yeah, I think that's the definite way you want to do this.
Well, I think it's actually a combination of the two, because it's an amplifier and then it's an antenna. So they're
Yeah.
connecting with the cosmic energies, their higher self, their real power. They're regaining their real spiritual strength again, in combination with receiving these healing energies down here for their 3D and spiritual bodies. It's an amazing combination. And then the plasma technology from the Therapy on top of it.
Yeah.
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 Well, let's go over some of the BIOWELL. Why don't you tell people a little bit about the BIOWELL and how you guys use this to show people that, yes, all of this is working and these are the things that it's helping you with?
Sure. Yeah, the BioWell is quite an amazing tool. It makes use of the Curlian effect. And so
Yes.
we scan each of the fingers, and it makes use of the meridians that are running in the body. It's the same principles as traditional Chinese medicine with acupuncture. And so what happens is, we place each of the fingers in this device, a weak electrical current is applied, and then our fingers release a photon cloud. So we're encouraging the body to emit light. And there's a camera in the inside of the BioWall device that takes a picture of that, and then the software dissects those scans and maps it to the organs and systems of the body. So we're able to get a view into the light energy at the organ level. Most important with the BioWell scan is the general energy of the person, which we measure in joules. We know, generally speaking, that at a cellular level, when our cells have an electrical charge of 70 to 90 millivolts or higher, our cells will thrive. When that millivoltage is 20 and below, it creates an environment in which there may be dis-ease. And in this tool, we measure energy in joules. So overall, it's important to be in this optimal state of energy, not too little and not too much. So I kind of think of it like a light bulb. When you're trying to light a light bulb, if you don't give it enough electricity, the light bulb may not light. And if you give it too much electric current, the light bulb can burn out. And so our bodies, with our cells and our organs, we need this light energy, and we're able to measure that light. And so we measure that in joules. And another important parameter that we're able to get from the BioWell is stress level. as well as organ disbalance, and as well as chakra alignment and balance, among other things. So, we'll be kind of glimpsing into that, I guess, soon enough to show what that looks like and what we're measuring, and, what we can do as far as measuring with people's experience with the pyramid.
Just to backtrack, I'm going to tangent off and come back, because you mentioned the pyramid, and we've already had experiences with the pyramid already. Like, we haven't even had, not necessarily with the BIOWELL, but just people. First off, the pyramid is drawing all kinds of curiosity. You can't even imagine, right? Like, everybody walks into a room and is like, what do we have here?
That's right. Yeah, they're intrigued. They have wonderment. They're like amazed. Some are really fascinated. Like, there's definitely a large sense of curiosity that's influencing the person just by its presence.
That's right.
So when you think, consider, like, I don't know, biogeometry and, the effect of domes and pyramids on people, it is influencing the members, and their thoughts and feelings change, and their experience of the room changes as a result of that, just by the pyramid simply being there.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I saw one of the pictures that you had on your Facebook page it was a whole group of people relaxing in their zero gravity chairs in a circle with the pyramid in the center. And I immediately felt that it just created a unification of everybody in the room. It like merged everybody as one.
There was a physical focal point for everyone.
Yeah.
So in some cases, we intentionally set up the chairs in a circular fashion. We usually do that with our sound baths. So we want people to, be in a circle sometimes in this field. And, knowing the geometric shape of a torus, being in a circle can be, like, I think, an ideal way to experience the EE system. And so having the pyramid as a visual focal point by itself, I think you're right. There's something there that's encouraging the energy to flow in a way that, supports the members.
Well, it's like shooting that torus around a lot faster. It's like creating that torsion field and just embellishing it more. And you guys had the idea of a capstone that was lighted as well. That would be awesome.
We would love
something I'll work on.
That's something we would love to do with our capstones, have it lighted. But one of the events that we had with the pyramid, we had an energy healer come, and he was doing his work on the members, and he was going around the room, and he was actually waving the energy into the middle of the pyramid and letting the pyramid just kind of take it up.
Suck it up, yeah.
And it was an amazing thing to observe. And he actually stopped midway through, because he was having his own experience for the first time with the pyramid. He was like, he couldn't even contain himself. He came into the office, because Jay and I were in the office when he stopped. Normally we're in the room, but we went in the office really quick, and he came in and said, I got to stop. I got to tell you guys what I'm seeing. And what he was seeing was, he described it as fire going from the point of the pyramid out to each tower. Almost, it kind of looked like, he described it as not like red orangey fire from a fireplace, but more like a plasma fire.
The colors that we see in our Theraphi.
In the Theraphi. So as he was doing that, as he experienced that, he came in, he was so excited. He could barely speak. He was so excited. He says, you guys are going to probably think I'm going to crazy and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, listen, after everything I've experienced over these years, I'm like, I'm open to hearing anything, because I understand. So
at one point you thought Charlie was a little crazy before.
Well, I did, because the funny thing is, I saw Charlie a number of years ago online with JCK, sitting in his pyramid. And back then, the first time I saw it, I said, I thought, this is a little bit out there for me. Like, I can't, I have a really hard time buying into this.
Yeah.
And then over the past, over the years, I've gotten more, I understand more now. And I know how this works. I've had my own experiences, and the pyramids kept coming up for Jay and I. And Jay said, just a week before the Allentown Expo, he says, the pyramids keep coming up. He says, I think we should look at there's one particular kind of pyramid, and was Charlie's pyramid. I'm like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I saw it a number of years ago, but we've got a lot on our plate. Yeah. And if this is something that we need to do, like, it'll find its way to the top on its own. Like, we're not going to have to chase after it.
Yeah.
So a week later, we go to the expo in Allentown, and there's Charlie. And I didn't make the connection of seeing Charlie with JCK until Lisa mentioned that y'all were on JCK. And suddenly it was like, oh my gosh. And I sat in the pyramid. Charlie invited us to sit in the pyramid, and we did. And I actually confessed to Charlie, I'm like, I saw you on JCK a couple of years ago, and I thought you were damn near crazy. And like now, he says, well, do you think we're crazy now? I'm like, no. Like clearly, like
crazy has caught up to you.
Crazy. Yeah, I own my crazy now. So and I'm proud to be crazy in that way. But like there is more to it. And if people just allow themselves to have a new and different experience just one time, you can experience, you could be opening something up for yourself that can allow you to not just heal your body, but allow you to experience a level of wellness that you might not otherwise be able to experience, because wellness is just not a physical exercise, right? It is in all four realms. It's physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when we can get those four aspects of our being into a higher state of energy, into a coherent energy, when we're conscious of not just what we're doing, but who we're being, and we live that way, it's a radical shift of being. And you open yourself up to things, you open yourself up to divine miracles.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
Yeah. And we think they're miracles, but they should be an everyday occurrence for us because we're so disconnected.
That's right. And since doing this work, there are two things. It's like the more I live at a higher consciousness state, the more I get to plug in to the synchronicities and the miracles that provides. The more I stay in integrity with what is true and best and optimal for me, that's divinely guided, then the more I also get to experience that, right? It goes hand in hand. And so this is the way that I've really been trying to live my life on an everyday basis. I don't always succeed. I'm as human as everybody else. Jay will tell you that. I go through the full range of energy in the energy spectrum, right?
We're here for experience it all.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so that we can grow and so that we can understand it. We just don't want to get stuck in the fear and in the victimhood, right? Because we're programmed to look at everything through that lens.
Right? Yeah. Well, look how our healing system, our for the past 100 years, the system has been based on fear. Oh, you're going to die in 6 months. You have to take this poison, which is going to make you feel worse. And, it makes sense when you're resonating at a low vibration. Most people don't overcome that. So just providing this type of atmosphere where you can come in and you can relax and you can be immersed in these healing fields. I mean, that alone is going to heal somebody or, so much faster.
And the other thing too, Lisa, it's true. But the other thing too, that has been, one of the things that is needed more is community, because healing is a much more difficult process when you try and do it alone. But when you're in communion with other people that have similar beliefs and they're open and they're supportive, your healing journey is so much more rapid.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's one of the things that Jay and I, when we opened the EESystem Wellness Center here, it really wasn't so much just about the EESystem, but really more first creating a community. And our members, we're watching this blossom now. Our members are becoming friends. They're going to each other's houses. They're supporting each other. They come to the center. They do our workshops. They're doing their normal EESystem sessions. And it's just amazing to see the connections that are happening and the support that is happening within the community that we're building. And I don't think it's any mistake that now, the four of us are connected as of that Allentown connection. It was an amazing day for sure, and divinely guided. I mean, it's kind of interesting because since that day, the pyramid has bubbled to the top is one of the things for us to focus on. And I said, in divine timing, and here it is, so it's been
we lack community. I mean, especially with all the happenings from the past few years, and Charlie and I experienced that with our first expo that we went to since before the pandemic. It was people they weren't coming up and wanting to know more about what you were doing. They were kind of like walking around like they were at a yard sale. And then when they did come up and show a little interest, if we made eye contact with them or started to converse, a lot of them would just put their head down and scurry away. It's like they're socially awkward now. They don't know how to socialize anymore. And it makes sense because they were cooped up. Everybody was for a few years. I even felt awkward going to an expo for the first time in 5 years,
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
But let's get into the BIOWELL, guys. Let's show
do
some of the BIOWELL stuff. Do you want me to bring up your screen share?
That would
Jay?
be great. All right. So yeah, this is the BIOWELL tool. We were talking a little bit about energy, and just flipping over to another member that we had here just actually this past weekend. We scanned her. All right, we got the 10 fingers. Certainly, it would be more accurate if we could scan toes too, but we just do it with the fingers. Fingers is an ideal way to measure energy, because the fingers are accessible, and there's a lot of information that we can glean right through our fingers. So our health is literally on our fingertips. And so in this case for Teresa, she came, and in this case, it was an overnight. So we scanned her upon arrival to see what she would look like. So she measured at 29 joules. Here we have our human energy field. It's depicted like an aura, but the area that's below the urogenitals are actually like the cardiovascular, nervous, and immune system. So you see the coronary, nervous, and immune system. The energy field around the urogenitals and up correspond to those body parts. And so here, we have a view into energy. When the energy, comes out, it's higher, and if it's closer, it's a smaller amount of energy. And in some cases where there are like gaps here, there's some energy leakage. And so this person was here for an overnight, and in the morning, incredible difference, right? Yeah, it's like a different person. Very different person. So I mean, to go from 29 to 55 joules, the joules is for energy on is on a scale of like 0 to 100, so 50 in the middle. So we want to be in that 40 to 60 or 40 to 70 range. And so to go from outside of optimal to being the optimal area for energy, big difference. Stress wise, like we do this analysis as well. She was on the higher side of stress. We have many members who come where they're orange or maybe increased in their stress level. Afterwards in the morning, it pulled back. When stress drops, it's easier and quicker for the body to heal, but stress for some people gets in their way. So it gives us certainly a view into whether they have like chronic stress, because if they're not able to release whatever it is that they're holding on to, sometimes they've had that stress for a while. And in some cases, when the higher it goes, it's maybe less tolerable. Like here, they're able to manage through it. When you get into the orange, it's may not be so easy for them to manage that kind of stress, and it then has an impact on our overall well-being. So we love it when we see stress drop. It shows like a healthy response to letting go and releasing and surrendering. And when members do that, their bodies have a way of syncing up to this coherent environment in the space that we have. And then in addition, you'll see, we have a view into organ disbalance. In this case, we had like 11 on the left, 12 on the right. So there were a number of organs in disbalance. And then afterwards, you could see the number of organs dropping. So here we're taking a look at when there's a 20% or more difference between the sympathetic and parasympathetic aspects of the organs. And so there was definitely a big drop when we compare the before scan versus the after scan. So pretty incredible, right? Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. So one thing that we'd like to tell members is like it begins, with energy, and then later on it manifest itself physically, and so there's an opportunity to be preventative and look for ways to bring balance and alignment into the body. And when you're have an awareness around too much energy or too low energy, hyper or hypoactivity with the different organs, you have an opportunity to do something about that. So like like you were saying, you notice some things with family history. Like in my case, I had have some family history of wondering like, all right, may I be prone to or susceptible or more likely to possibly like inherit some things from my parents. And so when I started using this tool, I was looking at those kinds of things. Like in my case, for my mom, she with fatty liver, and my dad, some things with a benign prostate hyperplasia. So I was taking a look at those organs for myself. And I think what's so powerful about the tool is like you have an opportunity to suppress those things instead of express that with what's in our DNA. Um, so in the beginning, like Dom, you remember you told me about you taking turmeric.
Yeah. So Jay's scans, his liver. His mom has a history of fatty liver, and it was like the energy was very excessive, and it kept showing up scan after scan after scan. I said, I said, when it's represented that way, that could be like a sign of inflammation because there's like a lot of energy there. I'm like, the one thing that I know, I said, I've been taking turmeric for inflammation. It's really helped my lower back. You might want to take it for maybe a month because it takes a few days for your body to for it to really, before you begin feeling or experiencing benefit. Like, maybe take it for a month and continue doing your scans and see what happens. So he started taking my turmeric capsules, and like within like a week or two, his scans went from being hyper energy down to the optimal level. And that was the only change that he made.
So after I started seeing those results for myself, I wondered like, what if my mom did the same? What if my brothers did the same? And that's what we were experiencing. It's like, all right, the liquid version works, the capsule version works. Like, this is great. This works for our family.
Yep. So now his whole family, we've been scanning them, and they've all been doing this, and it's been across the board. So there's,
Wow.
just kind of knowing this and learning from our experience and just trying different holistic modalities. To your point, Lisa, right? Like you learn things as you go,
Yeah.
right? And you over the years you get to learn a lot, and you begin connecting some of these dots and putting them together, and it's like, holy cow, like what a difference it makes. Just
I
because we're
test
open to
myself
it.
for everything. Yeah, I use the BioWell for everything. I'll be like, oh, somebody just sent me this supplement. I'm going to test myself before when I wake up, and then take the supplement and test myself after. And, I'll go lay out in the sun and test myself before and after, and we've already proven just with the basic knowledge that I have with BioWell right now that just sitting and meditating inside the Stargate Pyramid provides coherence to the body that wasn't there before.
Well, it's interesting what you're sharing, Lisa, because like you mentioned the pyramid, and I know like the pyramid has the quartz crystal sand in it, right? And so when we talk about gemstones in the BioWell, we've even got experience with that. And this is a funny story. This is a story that actually I had. EESystem sells these hypercharged pendants, medallions.
Okay.
And I had a tiger's eye before I went for my BioWell expert training. And I guess it was about a month or two before we went for the training. I was telling Jay, my body was just telling me take it off. I didn't know why. Just take it off. So I stopped wearing it. And Jay noted, he says, "You're not wearing your medallion anymore. How come?" I'm like, I don't know why. My body's just telling me to take it off. I just, for whatever reason, I don't need it. Just take it off. So I did. I was honoring that. And I kept it off until we went to the BioWell training with Dr. Khodorkov for our expert training. And because I knew at the training he was going to teach us how to do the testing by holding a medallion and measuring the energy difference.
Ooh,
And
okay.
so when I was at the conference, I scanned optimal. I was in optimal energy at the conference. And
Okay.
then when we did the test, all I did was hold the tiger's eye charged stone. And when I scanned myself, it shot my energy up into a stress state level.
Oh, too much. Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, now I know why my body was telling me just take it off. Because
Sure.
like
Sure.
I'm in tune with my body so much, right? Like
Yeah.
that I was just listening to it and I took it off.
More
But
energy isn't necessarily good. Yeah.
it's not good. More energy is great, especially when you're depleted. But if you're already in an optimal state,
Yeah.
it can put your organs into a stress response. And over a period of time, that's not a good thing. It's kind of like driving your car with the pedal to the metal all the time. And that's not an optimal way to drive your car. It's not an optimal way to drive your body either. So being mindful of your state of energy, and not just from the physical state. There's a mental, emotional, spiritual state, as we were saying before. Really just understanding, where are you at in each of those areas? What is your body asking for?
One thing what you were saying, Lisa, about taking these supplements and using the BIOWELL with taking those supplements, you don't even have to ingest it. You could actually hold it and scan yourself.
That's right.
And so that's one of the interesting things that we're learning in the expert level training with Dr. Krotkov, was how to test for these things and without having to ingest the supplements.
Yeah. And then the glove as well, the other accessory. So you can get real-time information as people are taking, or holding different things, or meditating, for instance. Have somebody doing an EESystem session inside the pyramid and have the glove on them and just in real time see the differences it's creating in their body.
Yeah. We've also used the water sensor, and that's been fun to use at our center. Yeah, I mean, we were looking at the influence of water, because water, you could fill up different jars and have it in different places to see, all right, and test that out. In some ways, it's a little bit easier than in testing on people, because every person's unique and you can't really duplicate, like Lisa, to be in two spots in the room, one in the pyramid, one outside the pyramid. But water, I mean, when you're filling, different jars of water, and you could fill it up with the same quantity in the same kind of jar, and then, compare a base case with what you're, trying to test. And in our case, we had done some testing with a sound bath in our space. And it was amazing what we were able to see and gather with the energy in the water, with the influence of sound frequencies in combination with the biophotonics and scalar wave of the EESystem.
Sure.
The water is actually living after being in the system.
Yeah.
It becomes, you actually can see it shoot up on the BIOWELL, and it goes whoo.
Oh, wow.
And it's really amazing. And I'm kind of chuckling over here to myself, because with that experience, after the sound bath, Jay went right to the water. I got to test the water. I got to test the water. And so, like, he says, it went up, and he says, Dom, you got to come over here. Come look at this. Come look at this. And I was so tired because it was late. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't care about the water right now. We'll look at it in the morning. And suddenly, the energy of the water dropped.
Yeah, he had some negative energy, but the water was listening.
The water was listening, and like it really was. And if you're familiar with Dr. Emoto,
we had Veda Austin on. She does. I think her work blows Emoto's out of the water.
Yeah. Well, this is that research about our words and how it influences not just water but all living things. And here real time, it's happening. Because I was kind of edgy and tired and I wanted to go home and I didn't care about the water. We'll look at it tomorrow. And the water was responding to that.
Sure it was.
Absolutely. That's why the simple fact of just blessing the water, putting your intention into it before you drink it, it's going to help improve your body physically, mentally, spiritually, just Yeah, it is alive, and we all sound so crazy saying that. I would have thought I was crazy saying that 4 or 5 years ago, but
Yeah.
it definitely is. If you look at the research and the proof that's out there, it is a crystalline structure that has memory, and it retains that memory, whatever it runs into through its life, through its cycle. It'll impress upon you. But it can be reprogrammed. So reprogram it. With kindness, with love before you put it in your body, because you're 70% water, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for you also. Have you tested either or both of the modalities remotely? Can you use the Therapy and the EE system, say, for a customer on a Zoom call like this?
Well, there are a few centers, a handful, that will do remote sessions where
Okay.
people will take a picture, a full body photo, and then the photo will be placed in the space in the room for like an overnight experience.
Okay.
We've heard certainly positive things about centers that do that, but most centers don't offer like a remote session like that.
Okay.
So what your question is an intriguing one.
Y-
The ability for us to send energy from remote locations, like even for us being on this video,
Right.
yes, we have the ability to send that energy, great distances. It doesn't necessarily have to be like within the confine of your immediate geographical location. There are certain even like animals that can sense what happens to their offspring. And they could be very far apart, but somehow the mother may feel something that happened to her child, even if they're
Sure.
not close to each other. So I think it's same thing
Quantum entanglement, right?
yeah.
That's right. I had that experience myself once with my son.
Hmm.
I was meditating and I got this vision of he was down visiting my parents for the summer for a month. And I had a vision of him just being bloody from head to toe. And I
Hmm.
couldn't tolerate it. So I had to call my mom. And sure enough, he'd fallen off the neighbor's bike. She said, "How did you know?" And I said, "I
Mm.
don't know."
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's so interesting about humans. Humans are incredibly, I don't know, just far surpasses what the BIOWELL can do. What our body's innate intelligence,
Mhm.
we don't seem to trust it, and that's part of how the EE system works. Is like we begin to trust our body to heal itself. When you trust that it has that innate intelligence to heal on its own, when people believe it, they start to see it. I know the BioWell is a helpful tool for people to see things, and which
Right.
may then influence what they believe. But the members who come in with this belief system that their body can heal on its own and
Sure.
will heal on its own,
Mhm.
It
it's very
does.
powerful
Yes.
when they come in this place saying, "I am healing," versus I'm fighting, in resistance of whatever it is that they're looking to ideally want to release and surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need to create that connection with spirit again, with the
Yeah.
divine, and allow, just like you said, our body was designed to heal, right? And we kind of forget that when we're down here with, running into all these barbaric procedures with our healing industry, our medical industry and this and that. So,
Lisa, one of the things that we get all the time, a question related to this is like, how long,
Mm.
right? Like, how long do I have to be in the system, or how long is it going to take to heal? And um, we tell our members that's a really good question, and that's not a question we can really answer because everybody's healing journey is so unique, because our lifestyles are so unique. No two people are exactly alike, and we're so used to the medical community saying, "Oh, it's going to take you a week to heal." But that's a physical healing. We're operating in four realms here: the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. And there's so much no two people are mapped exactly alike to be able to give an accurate prediction that way, except to say what is true and how we advise our members to discern how long they need to go for and how frequently is to just get quiet and trust the divine leading of what's true and right and best from their own heart, and take an agency and ownership of that truth and trusting that, You know, if you're being divinely led to come once a week for 2 hours, then that's what you do. If you're being divinely led to come once a month and spend an overnight, that's what you do. If you want to come every other week, that's what you do, right? Like knowing what is true and right and best, at least right now in the present moment. It's subject to change, certainly later as you go, but for now, what's your heart telling you to do? And encouraging our members to start there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it opens up a whole new realm for a lot of people too with the scalar fields because like I said earlier, it's bypassing the subconscious blocks that prevent a lot of us from healing. So let's say for instance I was in a bad relationship or I did something bad before I got into this bad relationship. So now I feel like all the trauma that was created from that relationship I deserve because it was karma from something bad I did in the past, So maybe this illness that was brought on was because of that bad thing that I did in the past. Some people think that and they won't allow themselves to heal. But the scalar energies will bypass that subconscious programming and allow them to start healing and allow them to gain their power to overcome all those traumas and all the pain that's associated with them because everything does start in the energetic field, like you guys said.
Yep. Only if they're open to it, though, because there are some people that aren't open to it. They want to hold, they want to hold on to their. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to hold on to their crap but have their healing. And unfortunately, that doesn't work so well for people. But yeah,
Well,
if they're willing to be open, then absolutely.
I've noticed now though too, I think it's with the seclusion that we all went through for a few years, but there's a lot more hypochondriacs in the world. Like they want that attention because they haven't gotten any in a long time. So they do hold on to the illnesses and, the hurt and things intentionally because that's where they feel the most loved,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'll hear people say, I have ... right? Whatever the condition is. And when we say that, it's like you have because you're claiming possession of. And we got to be really careful not to do that because as long as we say I have, even if you're in recovery, I've had, you're still owning possession of it.
That's right.
And we never want to own possession of an illness that we're working on healing and overcoming. And even once we're healed, we got to be careful because we don't want it to come back either. We don't want to invite it back in.
What I also
my friend didn't. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, one thing just to tag on to what Dom was saying, we've had some members where they will use language like "I'm fighting," whatever it is that they're fighting, or they're expressing anger to whatever it is that they have. Like I remember specifically, like this member, Barbara, and she had tumors, and she would talk very negatively and very angry, like "Get out of me! I hate you!" and so forth. And
a lot of people will say that fuck cancer. That's what their biggest thing,
So her experience of the tumors got bigger and they became more painful. It was fighting back. And so when you're in this energetic state of resistance, and not in a state of, releasing and, surrendering that, well, she's creating she's creating an environment only for the tumors to continue to thrive. Sure. So it's kind of like we sometimes get in our own way, and the words that we use, so powerful. And when you give voice to that, it gives it certain life, and the body listens and hears that. Just like the water you were talking about when setting those intentions. So if you're talking out loud and sharing those words and those feelings, the body responds. And so likewise, in this case for her, like, clearly her body was telling her, and fighting back.
Right.
Yeah.
So interesting, the power of words.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what my friend Peggy Rogers, she's my friend and mentor for mediumship. But she says the same thing, that don't give the energy to the places that are not needed. Like she said, it might sound bad, but she doesn't support going on these cancer walks. Support, this because you're walking in the negative, you're feeling the negative, and you're fueling that negative towards the whole issue in the first place. So it makes sense. It totally does. So let's, there are a couple questions, guys. You want to take a couple questions real quick?
Sure. Oh, certainly.
Okay. So do you allow people to talk or use cell phones while on the EE system? One center I went to allowed it and another did not.
Yeah,
I
so
love this question.
Yeah.
Yes, we allow cell phones in our EE system. No, we do not allow them to talk on them. The people that are on their cell phones, most of them are just reading or listening to something in their sound canceling headphones. The system does block EMF, so we're not concerned about that. We do ask them to turn their screen, the brightness down, because typically we keep the room darkened. This is the EE system, our EE system room behind us, so it's normally darker than this. I have the curtains pulled so you can see what it actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we do allow cell phones, but we have members put them on mute or airplane mode, and they can use them in a dim mode or for music.
Some members leave them in their car because they don't want to bring them in. But every center is unique. They're independently owned and operated. So as far as answering that question, every center is unique. So you need to check with your local center as to what their policy is, protocol is with use of cell phones.
Many people that have used the cell phones, like I said, they're listening to healing music through their headset, or they might be reading affirmations. Like they're usually reading something positive. We encourage our members not to be scrolling through their news feeds or watching news or reading news. Like, I see Shannon's comment. Why on earth would you distract yourself from healing using a phone? And she's right. Like we encourage our members not to have the phones. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's better to have the phones off because we lose a lot of energy in our eyes. So as pretty as the screens are, to look at, the ideal way to experience that is to, allowing your body to heal would be to close your eyes and to bring yourself into a state of relaxation, whether it's a meditation in a theta state or, actually falling asleep where you get into that delta state. So ideally, we want to be falling asleep, taking a power nap in the system. And when the body's at rest, the body will then want to focus on healing. So ideally, you just don't want to have the eyes open.
Okay, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Hold on. This next question, whoops, right here. Here we go. Pyramid Science people, do you still sell PVC kits? So Charlie.
Of course. Go to stargatepyramids.com. We've got plenty for sale. So there you see it.
Yeah. And actually, you guys are going to be seeing a lot more with the pyramids and the different healing centers around the world because Dom and Jay are just the beginning. They're just the tip of the iceberg, but we have so many other people that are now implementing the power of the Russian Stargate pyramids in their healing centers, to amplify the benefits. I just there's no other questions, but I see another comment. C. Bray says, I want you to know this is absolutely fascinating. And then Irakana must have joined a little bit later, but she wanted to know what's the equipment with all the colors running behind you, Jay?
Yes, it's our EE system. So yeah, we have 24 units at our center, 24 monitors and 24 boxes that sit behind those monitors. Right. So yes.
The system is actually designed to help influence the body heal and to promote wellness. So that's the purpose of the system.
Sure.
Energetically speaking.
Yep. So give us a little idea, like how much does a session cost? I'm sure everybody, depending on their how often they need to utilize it, will have to be different, but what's an average cost for one session just to try it out? I know Charlie just went and tried it out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Each center is owned independently and the pricing ranges. It's different from center to center. But just to give an idea, an hour in the EE system is usually $75. 2 hours is $120. So the hourly rate drops to $60 an hour. Most centers have packages that you can purchase, like a bulk of hours up front, and the more hours that you purchase, it can drop the hourly rate down. Sure. In our case, to as low as $30 an hour.
Wow. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So that's one way. We have a number of different ways that people can do hours in our center. That's one of the most popular ways.
Okay.
So, it pay as you go. It's like $120 for 2 hours. But if you know this is something that you're going to do, you'll pick up a package, or you'll do one of our monthly subscriptions. That's another way. It's kind of like a month to month type of thing. And
Does
then of
that
course
give you unlimited access for a month?
we offer that.
Okay.
Yep, we do
Oh,
unlimited
nice.
access for a month and then we also do private overnights as well. So that's also another option, particularly for people who need to travel to the center, as I was saying before.
Sure.
That's a nice option. And then every now and then, about once every 2.5 months, we do a community overnight, and it's kind of like a big sleepover where the members come.
Oh,
And
that's fun.
yeah, we're doing our next one at the end of June. It's sold out, but the next one is in August. I think it's August 23rd, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's about half sold out, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a time for members to kind of get together and meet and talk, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And the next morning we provide breakfast, refreshments, and
Oh,
it
wow.
makes for a
That would
nice
be
time.
fun.
Yeah, it makes for a nice time.
Now, we have one more question. Shannon wants to know, does your location have the option for remote sessions? And they did already cover this earlier, but I'll let you answer again, Jay.
Sure. At this time, we don't offer remote sessions, but it's something that we've been considering. There are just a handful of centers that offer a remote option where typically what you do, you take a full body photo and send that in, and the photos are printed and then placed in the chairs within the space, typically for an overnight. And that's one way to experience a remote session. So we'll keep you posted as to whether we begin offering that at our center.
Yeah.
You just have to
sure.
check our website.
Well, those are powerful too, So now we kind of getting into energy and stuff. I can see why the Amish community were so adamant about nobody taking their picture, because you are capturing their energetic essence when you do that.
That's right. That's
True.
true.
You are. And so the BIOWELL actually has an option to learn how to scan somebody remotely as well. Is that something you guys are going to look into too?
We actually have looked into it. I've inquired about it. I'm fascinated by that piece of the technology. We haven't explored. We're in discussion with Nima about it. I've spoken to Nima, but there's so many pieces to the BioWell to learn, and we really wanted to focus on how we were going to use it at the center first. So that particular feature is a coming up feature for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, why don't you let's close out here. Everybody, you can find Dom and Jay at the Quantum Light Wellness Center. All their links are in the description below. If you're interested in the BioWell, they have an affiliate link below as well. So please look into that. It's a great tool if you're an energy healer of any type, because it's going to give people the proof that they need. But what do you guys want to leave everybody with today?
I think our general theme, that energy doesn't lie. That's one thing that we have learned and continue to say and share with people. We see that in the BioWell energy scan. It's interesting when we scan people and they have, the experience that we showed earlier about the energy going up into the optimal and organ disbalance going away and stress level going down. But the truth is that sometimes for some people, they come into the center and the differences can be subtle, and it's amazing that for some people they can come into a space, and if they're trapped in their thoughts about any worry, fear of things that happened in the past or things that are coming up in the future, they're not really present. The scans will show that.
Yeah.
And in some cases, for some people, they might look a little worse at the end. And part of that is the detoxification. And so sometimes when we have these toxins in our body, they're getting shaken up, we actually might see greater organ disbalance. So, is that a step in the right direction? Yeah, we want to remove the toxins out of our body. And so our protocol is to hydrate more, do a foot soak, for 30 minutes in warm to hot water to help remove those toxins out of the body. And so in some cases with the after scan, it may not be what they were hoping for. It might look a little worse before it gets better. So it's, I think
we're learning that with
show a lot.
everything. The parasite cleanses and everything, they create that stir because that energy wants to hold on. It's part of you, It has been for a long time. And Well, guys, we have, before you give your goodbyes, Dom, let's look at the picture real quick because we didn't show that yet.
Oh,
The image that you guys sent in. So why don't you guys explain what we're seeing here?
So this is a picture that was in the EESystem owner group. A lot of people are curious to say, like, what is it that's actually scrolling on the screen? And typically it's unintelligible. Dr. Sandra has called it light language. But one of the techs, there's a setting which we don't have, but the tech has from EESystem that will translate the light language into English. And he took a picture of one of the panels when he did that. And I thought this was kind of fascinating to see what's scrolling across, what is, the words that are actually that light language translates into. And you can see here what's coming across, in every part of yourself, through all parts of the golden Christ light, and be in love and trust, knowing every cell, flowing from the heart of the Creator. And you can see if you just look at what's there, this is what is being imprinted in us through the light. Even though we can't translate it in English, we are in the energy of the light that is being emitted contains these messages, and our bodies are receiving that energy through the light, and that gets translated into our own DNA cells. Just like our words got translated into the water, these words are being transmitted through the light into our bodies. And so it's been
so these messages are being broadcast, and our bodies are receiving that light, and the cells pick it up and transmute that light from cell to cell, going throughout the whole body. So it's like interesting. The intention is there. It's in the programming, and people are being,
bathed in it.
It's bathed in this light and that intention of the words that they're being imprinted with. So,
well, it instantly reminded me of, did you ever see the video that Greg Braden had when he was interviewing these shamans? There was a healing modality with 3 shaman, and even the person that was getting the healing had to take some intensive training as well to participate in this. But you could see in real time during this session that her tumor shrunk, completely disappeared, like it was never there in the first place. And it was the shaman. There was 3 shaman around her chanting something. I think it was wasa, wasa. And they were mainly holding the space for her to heal. And they were envisioning her already healed at that time. And it's kind of what the EE system is doing there with the programming. It's holding the space for you to get to that higher vibration where you can actually heal yourself, which our body was intended to do in the first place,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You just said something, Lisa, and it made me think of an idea. Do you guys have a copy of, or have you ever heard of Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that at the center?
We don't.
I'll tell you why I'm thinking about it. Of course, I was in a metaphysical church like hers, years ago. And so I'm very familiar with her work and took classes on that book several times. And it is just amazing what healing can be accomplished. And it might be cool for people who have a certain condition to be able to look into that book, and it'll give you great examples of affirmations they could say during the session to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love that idea, Charlie. I think we're gonna check that out.
Yeah.
We actually have books in our center, especially for people who are there overnight, or even people who just want to come to the center and relax and read. And a number of the books that we have are actually authors that are members of the center, and they've left their books. And most of the books are very much in this vein of healing and wellness and energy. And
good.
And one of the books is the 76.345.
That's right.
The library is complete without it.
That's right. So we share with the members that are there for the overnights, like, yeah, you might want to read this. You know what I mean? Like, it'll explain more about the thing in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Nice.
So members are enjoying your book, and they're enjoying the pictures, and it's like, oh wow, it's like architecture, aeronautics,
it's everywhere.
Yeah, they'll see it everywhere now. That's no turning back.
One thing really quick, when we were on the way home from the expo, Charlie, you probably know this, but like it blew my mind. We were driving home from the expo, and I said to Jay, it was like a divine download that was just put in my heart, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And he says, what? I'm like, the logo for Space Force.
It's real close.
I'm like, I think it might be the same pitch.
It's
Charlie thought
almost,
so too, but it's
almost,
not.
not quite. Not quite.
Really? I got on
Measured it.
Canva.
Yeah.
I was so
only
curious,
a
Charlie.
degree or two off. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I got on Canva and I got the picture of the logo, and then I got another picture of a pyramid in 76.345 and overlaid it.
Yeah.
And like, if it's off, it's only, like you said, just a tiny
Just
bit.
a little bit.
Just a
I think.
smidge.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll check it out again. So,
Maybe they adjusted it after they read your work, Charlie.
well, one thing, because I have done this so many thousands of times now, measured angles. People, when they put stuff on Bing or images or Google Images, sometimes they'll squish it or stretch it or something, and you just don't know if it's perfect. So when I've seen cathedral steeples and they don't quite match, I said, let me go get another picture, and sure enough, that one will work. So it might just be the picture that I look at.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing having you guys on today. It really was. And thanks for going so in depth with what you're doing. And I'm sure we'll have you back for a part 2 because we're going to stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'd love to share our observations and findings with the pyramid in our space.
Yeah.
It's quite exciting, for us to have this and for our members. And, it's just interesting how it's already having an impact on our members, just empirically based off of member feedback. And if it's encouraging them to have these positive thoughts and feelings, and this being a positive aspect of their experience of the center, it's already, I don't know. Do I need proof of that? Do I need? I don't know.
Yep. No, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I take our members' word for it too.
That's right. Exactly.
Dom, did you have any last things for people? Anything you wanted to leave them with?
Yeah, 2 things. I just wanted to share how much gratitude I have for both of you and for meeting you at the expo. It really felt divinely timed, and just in gratitude of you sharing with us, and we're happy to share our experience with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this transpires in the coming weeks and months. And in terms of the people watching, the people who have followed us, I think the most important thing that I just want to impart, and I've been saying this for a number of years, is to trust your own heart.
Yeah, it's
just
empowering.
Trust your own heart. It is so powerful, and it's never going to lead you off a cliff. Don't get stuck in the how you're going to do it. Just take the step of what it's only going to lead you to the next step. And if it's doing that, you're already equipped to take it. So just follow it, and then the next step will be revealed. And this is the path, and this is the journey, and it's an amazing journey, and it's what led us to the 2 of you. And it's wild and crazy and awesome all at the same time.
Cool.
So
absolutely. Well, thanks so much, guys. Lots of love to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll have another amazing episode next week with Kevin Muldoon. Will be back on to talk about the tunnels underneath the Bosnian pyramids. So lots of love to everybody.
All right.
See you later.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.